Yeah, Z, whenever you want to give me a little countdown.
Yeah, we started. We started. You can.
Oh, we started. Okay, fantastic. Welcome. Welcome everybody to Cobra Education. We've got a very sort of in-depth syllabus on our Discord. What I'm going to do is we're going to kind of roll this content out on a daily sort of basis. This is what the Cobra's Guide looks like. So we take you from extremely basic stuff, just definitions, crypto slang, stuff like that, into a solidity guide, into a trading sort of guide, and at the end of it, what we want to see is people come in, start with the intro, and by the end of this, you leave a absolutely full-rounded, fully baked, DeFi individual. So you'll know what you're doing within the world of DeFi. You'll know what all of these terms that you hear mean. When I first got into it, I didn't know what a FOD was. I didn't know what HODL meant. I didn't know what any of these words were. I thought a fork was just a fork to me, but a fork is going to be so much more to you as we progress through this Crypto Cobra's guide. So let's go to education introduction. Just to make you guys aware, this is our Discord. If you go right here, the very top, we've got announcements, education giveaways. Just hit education right here, education introduction. Yeah. If you'd like to learn the basics of cryptocurrency and literally just all things DeFi, this is the foundational sort of starting block. This is block 1. This is the Genesis block in the blockchain. So let's get right into it, guys. Yeah, welcome to the beginning of your journey into cryptocurrencies and DeFi. We are truly honored, 110%, to be able to educate you on the key things you need to know and to understand. Cobras are very passionate about educating the masses, educating the people, bringing all of this DeFi knowledge, empowering you to do as much as you can within this space, because there is so much you can do if you have the keys and you have the tools. And this is what we're going to aim to give you. So whether it's, sounding cool in front of your friends when you talk about cryptocurrencies because you actually do know what you're talking about, or becoming a blockchain developer and switching career paths and earning hundreds of thousands, or, trading, sitting on gold and just making hundreds of thousands. Again, like if whatever your end goal is, whatever the end point of your WAGMI is, right? Whatever it is, this is where it begins. So, let's take a look at the crypto slang first off. This was very interesting to me. So the first thing I mentioned was FUD. FUD, it's an acronym. It stands for fear, uncertainty, and wait, no, it's an abbreviation. What am I saying? It's an abbreviation for fear, uncertainty, and doubt. It's used as like a noun. You can say, oh, there's FUD in chat. Like if there's a chat and someone is going like, oh, when token, or oh yeah, when Lambo. You see that right there? I'll come to that. If someone in a chat is creating fear, uncertainty, or doubt about a project or a vision or something, you could treat it as a noun and say there's FUD in chat. You could treat it as a verb. You could say, oh, is he FUDing? Are they FUDing? Is FUDing happening? That it can be used that way as well. And just any sort of spin on it. Fudsters, a fudder. Don't FUD. don't be dropping FUD. Use it as you wish, but just know what it means. FUD is essentially creating murkiness and blurriness and darkness and ooh, is it really gonna happen? Is it not gonna happen? Oh, this project is a joke. Oh my goodness, ooh, all of that stuff. That's not what you want. FOMO, again, fear of missing out. Pretty standard, general sort of thing. FOMO, it exists in the real world, you could say, fear of missing out on a party or something like that. But this is more when you're trying to take like a decision where you should be crystal clear in your mental state, in your headspace. Crypto Boy covered trading mindsets on one of the educational segments. If you don't sort of, if FOMO is something that can come in and muddle that clarity when you want to be making a decision on a trade, when you're executing something on a project or something like that, when you're deciding whether or not to part with your money for an investment, FOMO is not what you want. Fear of missing out. It should never be the catalyst or the impetus or the driving factor for a decision. HODL, that's a good one. Hold on for dear life. It was actually a misspelling of the word hold. So someone was typing hold really fast and he just went HODL. That's where that came from initially, I think. I read that somewhere. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that, actually. Go do your own research in it. Figure out if Dharma is actually telling the truth or if he's mistaken here. But I think I read that that's where it came from. Hold on for dear life. This is in relation to, could be a token that you're holding. It could be a position that you're holding on a trade. It could be pretty much anything, but it could also stretch so far as to talking about your sort of feelings on a project or on an endeavor. You know, if you say hodl, it's like grit through it, hold through it. You know, hodl to the moon. You hold in expectation of something better, in the expectation of a reward. It's kind of like don't go for the instant gratification, which is, you know, in building a good DeFi mindset, that stuff is very, very important. Mooning. Okay, this is another one. So mooning is not, it's not presenting your butt to somebody as an insult. That's not the mooning we're talking about here. Mooning is effectively, you know, you see all the doges on the rocket ships going like, oh, to the moon, you know, crypto to the moon. Moon is just used as a sort of ceiling, you know, a word for like a superlative high point to reach. So if you say this token is going to go to the moon, that means this token is going to pump really hard. You know, the price is going to appreciate massively, is what that means. So if you look at a project in reference to a project, if somebody says it's mooning, then that means, you know, the price is appreciating massively. It's going up to the moon, as it were. Fiat, effectively anything that isn't, government issued currency, pretty self-explanatory. When you say fiat, you're effectively talking about money, government issued currency that's either cash or digital, a digital representation of that government issued currency. So pounds, dollars, everything under the sun that isn't a digital asset or some kind of asset that isn't money. Anything that's a government issued currency on this planet, it's referred to as fiat in this space. So usage would be like, I need to, like, oh, I'm strapped for fiat, bro. Like that's something that people say. Like I have all this money in Ethereum, I have money in Crow, I have money in this, I have money in that. I have no money in fiat, right? That means I have no pounds, I have no dollars. Dolph has $0, right? You could also, effectively, that's what it is. Just use it as a substitute for, for pounds or dollars, whatever the currency of your choice is. Whale, someone with a lot of crypto. It could mean that. It could mean just someone with a lot of sway, someone with a lot of influence. It could be a singular person, could be an entity, could be a group of whales. It's effectively people with a lot of market influence because they hold a lot of a given asset. And when someone holds a large amount of a given asset, any movement is going to be a movement of a big chunk of something, which is going to affect the markets. It's going to affect the value of that thing, right? It makes sense. It's effectively, they're called whales because you think of water, think of displacement in water. A whale is a huge object, right? In liquid, it's going to displace the liquid. So it's kind of that mindset. When a whale dumps a bunch of, I have these tweets on my phone. Follow bear whale, right? Let me find it. There's bound to be a bear whale somewhere. It gives you alerts. Every time someone has longed, a whale has longed or shorted Bitcoin. And what, effectively it's in relation to the magnitude of influence that someone has over that market because they control a big chunk. Bullish and bearish. If you know about Wall Street, you know, bull and bear market. Bullish basically means you're expecting a thing to appreciate in value, which means you would want to buy in or get in on the project. So it's not just in relation to stocks and trading and stuff like that. You could use it as just an adjective in general. So bull-like. If you expect the price to go up, if you expect something, if you view something in a positive light, basically, to kind of throw that umbrella wide open. If you view something positively, you would say, I am big bullish. I'm very bullish on this project. Or like, how you feeling about Bitcoin? Bullish. Ooh, I'm bullish on that. Bearish, the opposite, right? You expect the price, you expect something to depreciate in value. You expect a bear market, basically. And so your feelings towards a project or a token or a currency or whatever it is, right? Anything, literally anything, a situation. Like, there could be a meeting you want to do that you don't want to do. You could say, I'm bearish on that meeting. Like, it's all good. Use it wherever, but this is effectively what it means. This is effectively what it means. I talked about forks, and now we get into it. When an existing blockchain splits into two separate blockchains, that is one definition. In practical usage, you do find a fork, the word fork, being used quite a lot as a verb, to kind of describe when you kind of take the skeleton of something and make it your own. That's something you'll see in a lot of like NFT projects and stuff like that. That happens quite a lot. Even in the degen world, it happens quite a lot, but in DeFi especially, you'll see more than an idea. It is the skeleton upon which that idea, the skeleton within which that idea sits or operates. That is really what counts, and having a good team to kind of manage that skeleton. So what you'll do is effectively fork the skeleton and put your own idea into it, right? And I think that comes from with the Ethereum merge, we talked about the shadow fork, right, that they did. It probably comes from that definition, the technical definition of when an existing blockchain is split into two separate ones that run of their own accord type thing. ICO and IDO, initial coin in reference to a token, or DEX in reference to a decentralized exchange, which is effectively a platform built on smart tokens on which these coins or tokens can be traded or moved or just whatever, right? It's where it operates type thing. It's a type of crowdfunding. It refers to either an initial DEX offering or an initial coin offering. I haven't really come across this too much in my DeFi life, so I'll let Z come and redefine that in a minute. I'll run through the rest of it until then. ATH, obviously pretty self-explanatory, all-time high, the highest price that a coin or an asset or whatever has reached for all time up until like today. So if you look at for Bitcoin, it was like 60 something. I think like that was the highest it had ever reached, and it did not break that ceiling ever. That amount is the all-time high. DeFi, we say this all the time. It stands for, it's like an amalgamation of decentralized and finance, right? The two beginnings of the two words, decentralized and finance. It's in reference to the world of blockchain and Web3 and technology built on smart contracts and Web3 technology. Like, it's pretty all-encompassing, but it's basically it's crypto, but not limited to just cryptocurrencies, right? It's not limited to just currencies that involve cryptography built on a chain of block hashes, right? It's not just that. It's in reference to everything around that. There's DeFi philosophy, right? There's DeFi everything. You can use DeFi. I've seen it in my personal life being used in the stead of lo-fi. Like, I would say sometimes that's not very lo-fi hip-hop of you when someone like pops off, if something goes off. I'm like, that's not very lo-fi hip-hop of you. Now I say that's not very DeFi of you. Literally, I say that's not very DeFi of you. So yeah, it can be, it's an attitude, it's a mindset, it's a definition, it's the world that we inhabit. And it's very much a part of the ideology of Cobras, I would say. CeFi is the horrible, gross opposite. No, I'm joking. It's centralized finance, right? The centralized world. If we refer to centralized things, it's effectively decentralization of finance and of everything is moving it's the distribution of power, effectively the distribution of power and the distribution of duties and roles and things like that. So in finance, banks control, it's a trust-based system. It's based on trust. There's a human being and a bank controls it. It's centralized. Power is centralized. No one holds them accountable. With decentralized finance, everything is run on the technology upon which it is built dictates that power, roles, duties, responsibilities, checks and balances, everything is distributed. It's not centralized in one place. It's all over the place, and everything needs to be functioning perfectly. Otherwise, it just doesn't run, right? Completely trustless system. It's built on algorithms talking to each other, pieces of code talking to each other, right? That's how decentralized stuff runs versus centralized things. So it's in reference to the technology, but it's also in reference to just the vibe in general. The vibe of something can be decentralized or centralized. Like in some of the sauce streams or the news streams or any of the content that you'll see on the Crypto Cobra's YouTube or Discord, you will hear centralized being used the same way institutional or entrenched or like conservative or something like that, you know. Those are kind of, they fall under the same umbrella. So very all-encompassing sort of terms, but these ones specifically, this is the definition, that's what it means. Altcoins, effectively alternative cryptocurrencies, alternative coins, altcoins, launched after Bitcoin. And then we have when Lambo, again, when, the word is when token, when payment, when this, when that, when launch. It's effectively an example of FUD, because when you say when, there's fear of missing out, there's uncertainty of when it's going to happen, and there's doubt as to whether it'll happen at all. That's an example of FUD, but also the whole when thing. Let's talk about when Lambo specifically, and then I'll get into the when thing. When Lambo is used because like buying a Lamborghini or having a Lamborghini at your showcase or at your event or at something, it's kind of like a benchmark of crypto success, which is kind of silly and weird, but it is what it is, right? So like if you have a project and you have like your project's logo slapped on a vinyl like over a Lamborghini, people treat that like a milestone to strive towards. So they'll say when Lambo, specifically in wondering when a specific token or a specific whatever that you're holding or investing in is going to get you enough of a bag to get that Lamborghini, basically. It's like a benchmark of when it's gonna reach success. So if you are working on a project and someone comes in and says, okay, cool, but when Lambo, they're basically asking when are we gonna see enough success, enough monetary success that we can comfortably buy a Lamborghini, right? When is this gonna appreciate to that level? Pump and dump. It is basically when you artificially conflate when you inflate artificially the price or the value of a asset or a token that people are going to invest their money in, to effectively trick people into thinking that the value is going up or the value is high or it's a good thing to invest in, and then immediately dumping it. It's a rug pull, basically. We've talked about this before. It's quite shady with a lot of tokens and a lot of projects. Even the very best of us fall victim to these all the time. So it's always very important to get on the GitHub, man. Like, look for the actual code. Do all of the research that you can. Get in touch with people on the actual team and ask the questions directly. You know, seek out the white paper, read it cover to cover. See if this seems like a proper, thing, a proper sort of place for your money. Because most times it's a pump and a dump. It's a rug pull. It's a scheme that makes it look like things are, you know, things are going well, and then immediately there's a piece of code written into the smart contracts to transfer all tokens to the founder of the project, or they'll code it in so you can only buy your token and you cannot sell your token, right? These kinds of things exist. These kinds of things exist massively. But yeah, I think that brings us to the close of that first sort of bit. Just a taster, guys. Just a just a very brief taster. Z, did you want to come in and give me a little bit more insight on ICOs and IDOs?
Yeah, yeah,
and
of course, of course. So in the stock market, you had a thing called IPOs, the initial sort of price offering of a stock, and in basically DeFi we have something similar called IDO or ICO, which is initial DEX offering or initial coin offering. And I think that's something that keeps DeFi pretty interesting, because a lot of these launches go through public pre-sales, and they go through public and private rounds. So at Cobras we go through private rounds, and then everyone looks forward to the day that we have the token generation event, and that's what the initial coin offering is. It's basically, for example, a token launching on Binance Smart Chain through Polka Starters or basically one of these launch pads. But I hope that explains what an ICO or IDO is.
Awesome. Yeah, I appreciate that, dog. Fantastic. Yeah, guys, like I said, just a little taster. Thank you, Z, for coming in with the assist as well. Do check this out in your own time, fellas. Do check this out. Like I said, very top of the server, hit education, and then just follow along, read along, click through the links. This brings us to a close this brings this specific educational episode to a close for today. But do stay tuned. Tomorrow we're going to be covering what is cryptocurrencies. And yeah, I'm gonna love you and leave you. Do check out our Twitter. Do check out our YouTube. And yeah, Cobra Lightspeed, guys. Thank you for your time.
Awesome.